welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us. Coming up again in hour number 2, we've got Chris Moneymaker. It was called the Moneymaker Effect. He started the whole craze in poker, and he'll be joining us in hour number 2. Chance he could be elected into the Poker Hall of Fame, so that is going to be a lot of fun. So Chris Moneymaker, again, coming up in hour number 2. So this is kind of a wild story, right? Boxer by the name of Pulev. Ron, I know you've heard of this guy, right? So he's getting interviewed by a reporter called Jenny Ravallo. And this kind of went viral, where this boxer kisses her on the lips at the end of the interview. Awkward kiss, and yeah, I mean, it looks like sexual harassment, and that's exactly what it is. So now Bob Arum comes out and makes some comments. And by the way, this boxer was suspended by the California Boxing Commission. And then Bob Arum comes out and makes some comments that were, I guess you could say, controversial. And the woman we have with us on the line right now, she's a woman rights attorney, very high-profile attorney, and we're glad to have her on the line. She represents Jenny Ravallo. That is Gloria Allred. Gloria, thank you so much for taking some time to join us. How are you?
Well, thank you very much for inviting me, and this is a very important story, and on many levels. I'm just fine, thank you. And I do represent Jenny Ravallo, whom you just described as, she was, we believe, the victim of sexual harassment by Pulev. And as a matter of fact, after the video of his suddenly grabbing her face and then kissing her on the lips while she was, in the process of conducting a post-fight interview with him, when it went viral and got more than 1 million hits. I don't know what it's up to now, but
a lot.
It's very widely viewed. It was viewed by the California State Athletic Commission, which, of course, licenses boxers and licenses promoters of boxers. And they scheduled a hearing at which Mr. Pulev, needed to appear if he wanted to, have his license reinstated, because they suspended it pending the hearing.
Right.
And then we went to the hearing. And Ms. Ravallo spoke at the hearing. She testified. I did. Mr. Pulev did. And the bottom line is, after a 2-hour hearing, the commission decided that his license should continue to be suspended until the next hearing, which is going to be held on July 22nd.
Now, Gloria, can I stop you right?
During that time, if he wanted to get it reinstated on July 22nd, he would have to take a sexual harassment class. Now,
can I stop you right there? Because I want to play some of Bob Arum's audio, if that's okay. Is that all right?
Now the audio you'll play is he's commenting on what the commission
So I'm going to play a tidbit from that interview, and that's why you did a press conference this morning. Here is Bob Arum in his own words in regards to this case. Let's play that audio.
Gloria Allred put a complaint in with the California Commission, and they suspended this guy for 6 months for inappropriate behavior, and provided that he has to take a course in sexual harassment before he can get his license back. Is that totally crazy? So Tuesday, I got the UNLV, the athletic director, to hold a little symposium session to explain sexual harassment to this poor Bulgarian guy who did nothing wrong.
Okay, Gloria, I want you to respond to that. Go ahead.
Well, I think that, Mr. Arum does not appear to accept any responsibility for Mr. Pulev's reprehensible conduct, his battery, his sexual harassment, meaning Mr. Pulev, of Ms. Ravallo while she was conducting her interview of Mr. Pulev, Mr. Arum's boxer, on March 22nd, 2019, and then she was subsequently, by the way, retaliated against by Mr. Pulev by attempting to what we call slut shame Ms. Ravallo for having exposed Mr. Pulev's sexual harassment of her. So we think also, by the way, that Mr. Arum's attack is also on the commission for requiring Mr. Pulev to take a sexual harassment class. And his referring to the commission's requirement as outrageous and crazy, and those are quotes from Mr. Arum.
Now, Gloria, I'm sorry to interject, but let me give you a little bit of my opinion here, and I want to get your thoughts on this. So there's no doubt the video shows what happened. It was inappropriate. It was sexual harassment, whatever you want, sexual assault, whatever you want to call it. I agree with what the California Boxing Commission did. I don't agree with the comments of Bob Arum, but I do want to play a little bit of devil's advocate here because I think this is an important question to ask you. Jenny Ravallo, several hours later, and you've seen this video, is at a party. And at that party, she's giving a lap dance to one of Pulev's friends when Pulev is a few feet away. Now, some people would say for a woman that was just sexually assaulted, that is really bizarre behavior to be hanging out with Pulev's crew, to be giving a lap dance to one of Pulev's friends when Pulev is just a few feet away, and she claims that she was doing professional interviews and acting as a professional reporter. I was a reporter for a very long time. I've never seen someone act that way and call themselves professional. And again, I'm not trying to take away from what took place with that kiss, because I absolutely agree with you, inappropriate sexual misconduct. But how do you defend her behavior several hours later?
I don't have to defend it because it isn't relevant what she did afterwards. I mean, I don't know if you're suggesting that she needs to enter a convent, or go to a hospital or something because he kissed her on the lips.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying if somebody was just sexually assaulted, it's bizarre to be hanging out with his crew a couple hours later. That's all I'm saying.
It doesn't matter. With the video speaks for itself. He grabbed her. He kissed her on the lips.
Right.
Even he admitted to the commission that she did not consent, that he didn't ask her before, can I kiss you on the lips?
Oh, no, I believe that.
There's no dispute about that. It doesn't mean that it didn't happen.
Oh, no, and I'm not saying it didn't happen. We all saw what happened. I agree with you there.
What's the relevancy that she did a lap dance, if she did, not on Kubrat Pulev, but on somebody else's lap? So therefore what?
Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is, and look, you've been covering these cases. You've taken on a lot of these cases for a long time. This is what you do, and you're an expert on this. I understand that. And I understand that completely. I'm just saying from an outsider looking in, I'm not saying that kiss didn't happen because it did. We all saw it. I'm just saying if a woman is sexually assaulted by a man, why would she be still hanging out with him and his crew and acting in the way she did?
Hanging out with him. He came in supposedly later. But let's go back to what happened with Mr. Arum, because he also made other statements in this interview, part of which you just played.
Right.
For example, he said, I'm very sympathetic to sexual harassment charges if it's real sexual harassment, not BS. And, of course, he said the word.
That's Bob Arum, yeah.
He also said, I know what sexual harassment is, I really do, but that wasn't sexual harassment. That's a quote. And also he said, and I'm sure I'll get in trouble when this goes out. That's the way of the world, and I don't give a, and I'll just spell it, S-H-I-T.
Right.
And that's a quote.
Right. Now, are you going after him?
I'm sure I'll get in trouble. What does he think he's getting in trouble about?
Well, no, he knew. So are you going after him financially now?
What we have asked, we sent a letter based on his interview to the California State Athletic Commission, and we are requesting that they sanction Mr. Arum for his statements, which demonstrated disrespect to the commission's decision regarding Mr. Pulev, that they said he should attend a sexual harassment class, and if he would like to have his license reinstated, he needs to go back on July 22nd to show that he took the course.
Right.
But we think that Arum's statements have brought discredit to the sport of boxing, and that's why the State Athletic Commission in California has an interest in this. We request that he be required to attend the meeting in San Diego on July 22nd, and that Ms. Ravallo and I be permitted to testify to the impact of Mr. Arum's disrespectful attack on her and on the commission at the July 22nd hearing.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's what we'd like. We'd like him to be sanctioned because, after all, Mr. Arum is not just a boxing promoter for Kubrat Pulev from Bulgaria, but he is also a very famous boxing promoter, top rank,
Sure.
And he has a lot of other boxers.
He's a powerful guy.
So,
He's a very powerful guy.
I mean, other boxers are going to look to Mr. Arum and think, is this okay? Is this really not
so you
sexual
think that it's setting a very poor example?
Kissing female reporters on the lips without asking them, and it won't be sexual harassment? What kind of message does that send?
Yeah.
Very good point. So when you say sanction,
by the way, the suspension that Mr. Pulev is under, although it's, for California, that he can't box in California till the suspension is lifted, as Mr. Arum states on that video, that suspension is honored by all other states, which means he can't box in other states as well.
Right.
And that's really can have a serious economic impact on Mr. Pulev. He's already missed one big fight as a result of the suspension.
Mm-hmm.
So, do they have to learn the hard way, or are they going to understand that they cannot sexually harass, they cannot, assault or batter women? It's not acceptable, and there are going to be serious consequences.
I don't disagree with that.
So
the fighters,
Gloria,
for Mr. Arum to understand that as well.
Gloria, when you say you want to pursue sanctions against Bob Arum, does that mean top rank the company and his fighters as well, or just him personally?
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be against his other fighters, but it would be, he's licensed as a promoter in California. We think that the California State Athletic Commission has jurisdiction, meaning power, over him, because a license is a privilege. It's not a right.
Mm-hmm.
And they can decide what discipline, if any, what consequences, if any, should be imposed on Mr. Arum. Look, he's got the right of free speech, but he also has to bear the consequences of what his speech is.
But does that mean so?
It'll be interesting to see what he has to say to them, or if he's going to even show up to be questioned by them on July 22nd.
Okay, if he shows up and sanctions are placed on him, does that mean that Top Rank can't have any fights in California and other states?
Well, we'll have to see what they decide is appropriate.
Okay, Gloria.
It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Got a question.
This is really important. I've sent the letter. They've acknowledged the Athletic Commission that they've received the letter. I've sent them the video of the interview, and now we'll see.
Nobody questions this was certainly inappropriate at minimum, sexual harassment at worst. But how much money is Pulev going to have to pay? What's it come down to? Is it this amount? How much? And seriously, it was horribly inappropriate. We saw Joe Namath do it to Susie Colbert. Remember when he was drunk on the sidelines at an NFL game? Absolutely inappropriate.
How much? Joe didn't even remember that.
No, he didn't. Yes. So how much money does Pulev have to pay her? And seriously, it comes down to this, doesn't it? I mean, and he should. He should.
We haven't sued Mr. Pulev, if that's what you're saying.
No, you're going to, though, aren't you?
Haven't sued him. We have not said that we are going to sue him. We haven't filed a report with the police.
But that's coming. That's coming.
We have asked the California State Athletic Commission to take appropriate action, and I think they did in reference to Kubrat Pulev.
Mm-hmm.
And now we'll have to see what they're going to do about Mr. Arum, who did not show up for the hearing, the 2-hour hearing that the commission conducted with Mr. Pulev.
Well, listen, it's pretty simple.
If anybody wants to see it at the California State Athletic.
Yeah, and Gloria, to me, it's pretty simple. What he did was wrong. He should have never put his lips on her lips and touched her. He deserves what's coming to him. I don't feel bad for him at all. I do think he does deserve to box again, but he deserves to be punished. And I don't disagree with what you're doing. If I could
get some money out of him, just go get money out of Pulev. Just go get money out of Pulev. What's it worth? I don't know what it's worth.
I have no idea.
Get money out of him.
I have
go
no
ahead.
idea.
And
go ahead.
Did Ms. Ravino?
We want this to be a teaching moment for Kubrat Pulev and also for Bob Arum, and so that they understand and they set an example. This is not going to be tolerated. Look,
sure.
He seems to think that it didn't used to be this way. Well, maybe it didn't, because maybe women lived in fear. Women were silenced. We're in a new day here. Women are now empowered. They're fighting through the fear. They're not just going to be hurt and damaged, and suffer in silence. This is the age of empowerment. this is what I call the reckoning.
Yeah, I
A lot
know,
of other people are calling
and
it
I
reckoning.
totally understand that, and we're going to want an update from you, Gloria, to see where this goes. If I can just ask you a few questions outside the box, if you're just joining us, we're speaking with Gloria Allred. You've represented clients that have accused Donald Trump, of course, of sexual misconduct. I want to ask you what you think about this. Donald Trump was accused of rape the other day, okay, if you recall, and his response to that was, "She is not my type." For somebody that represents women, like you said, you've been doing this for over 40 years. What do you make of a response like that when Donald Trump says, "She is not my type"?
And then he said he didn't do it.
Right, but
Then
that
he
was
said
what
he
he
didn't do it.
said.
Well, the first thing he said.
I want to know
then he
what
said
Gloria
he didn't do it. So
right,
anyway, yeah.
but Gloria, what do you make of that?
Well,
the other part in there.
in general, anyone who is accused of, raping a woman or digitally penetrating a woman, it's not about sex. It's about power, and it's about an abuse of power. And, it's just not appropriate, and it is offensive to a lot of women to hear anyone say she's not my type as some kind of defense to an allegation of rape.
All the stories,
sexual
but all the
assault.
stories, Gloria, that you've heard and the clients that you've represented, do you think that Donald Trump is a sexual predator?
All I can say is, we'll let the American people decide for themselves. And I think
didn't
that
they already?
have.
Didn't they already?
Fair enough.
I think the
If
American
you're just
people did once.
If you're just joining us, Gloria
think they did.
Allred, I want to talk to you, Gloria, briefly about Bill Cosby because we had Lisa Lotte Lublin in studio. She lives here in Las Vegas. She's a wonderful woman, and I know you represented her.
Right. She was one of my clients,
Right.
and she's terrific.
She's
Very
wonderful.
brave.
She came in studio with her husband. They are just wonderful people, and they couldn't say enough nice things about you. What did it feel like for you personally? Because I asked Lisa this question, but for Lisa, for you personally, to see Bill Cosby handcuffed, I don't think many people ever thought that they would see the day, including many of his victims, right? What did
Well,
that?
I was there.
Yeah.
I was there when that happened. I represented 33 accusers of Bill Cosby. And by the way, I hope that your listeners. Hello?
Yes, we're here. Yep, go ahead.
That's not. I hope that your listeners will have an opportunity to view my Netflix documentary, which is still streaming on Netflix, called Seeing Allred.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's a good
in
name.
that documentary, which we're happy to say got 100% positive reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, all fresh tomatoes.
Well done.
Good.
Not an easy feat.
I give all credit to the producers. But having said that, you see a lot of the accusers of Bill Cosby in that, including Lisa Lublin, who was very brave, and her husband.
I agree. Yep.
And our battle for justice for many of these accusers involved and what we had to do in order to get accountability from Mr. Cosby.
Yeah.
So that's Seeing Allred. But having said that, I want to say also that we are scheduled for a trial against Mr. Cosby in L.A. County in Santa Monica in October of this year, even though he's been convicted and he's in prison for 3 counts of felony indecent sexual assault.
What do you make of this guy and his attorneys? Because
he is also there's a trial scheduled in our civil case on behalf of Judy Huff,
Good.
who alleges she was 15 years old when she was victimized sexually by Mr. Cosby at the Playboy Mansion in Southern California. So that'll be an interesting trial as well.
What a monster. Let me just say, job well done. And far that guy is a monster. I hope he spends the rest of his life behind bars. Keep up the good work, Gloria. And we hope that we can get you on the show again soon to maybe give us an update on the Cosby stuff. And as far as this Bob Arum situation with Pulev, we'd love to get another update from you down the road. Gloria, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. There you
Thanks
go.
a lot, Gloria.
There you go. Gloria Allred, high-profile attorney, that's for sure. Like her or not, she has taken some very high-profile cases.
We did get comment from Bill Cosby. He says,
I like it.
Got some rasified
Very, very long-winded and not afraid to interrupt any of us.
Well, no,
I can
Ron,
appreciate that.
Ron, I want to give you your chance, but it's not. I don't want to attack her.
He's teaching in college right now. I mean, in prison right now.
Listen,
He's
regardless,
he's teaching classes
Bill Cosby
on
can't even see.
Jello making.
He can't
Or something.
see
that guy
anything.
is the biggest
His vision
scumbag
is
on the
gone.
planet. minute, okay? But in regards to Donald Trump, because I know your blood was boiling when I asked that question. Okay, first of all,
he was getting heated.
Ron,
You know how much
Ron, you were getting very.
I want to
heated.
give you a chance to
boil.
Oh, Ron, listen.
My blood does not
I want to
boil.
give you a chance to respond to
blood
this,
does
but
not
let me
boil over
explain
anything.
something. Let me be very clear, okay?
Yes.
Regardless of whether this woman made up this story about Donald Trump or not, regardless, let's just hypothetically say there was no rape involved, it was consensual, or maybe no sex happened at all, and she's a complete liar. Let's just by the way, I'm not willing to say that, but hypothetically.
I'm not either, by the
okay?
way.
When you are accused of something, and let's just say Trump didn't do it, the first thing you should say, you can call her a liar. You could say, I'm innocent. I didn't do it. She's a liar. You can say all that. I would never.
But what
hold on.
did Cristiano Ronaldo do?
Let him do it.
Luke
Hold on. Let me
Walton-
finish. Let me finish.
Let him finish.
Okay,
He's got his point here.
You can say all that stuff, and I don't have a problem with that. But to say she's not my type and to talk about the physical, the appearance of the woman is disgusting, and you cannot deny that.
It's not what I would say.
Why do you answer the question like that?
It's not what I would say.
It's not the way I would go about it. Just say it's wrong. Just say it's wrong.
It's not what I would do.
You can't say it's wrong.
I don't judge people, Brian.
I didn't say you did.
I don't judge people, okay? It's just, it's not
You
what I would say.
can't sit here and say the
not what I would
President of the
say.
United States was wrong to
It's not
react
what I
that
would
way.
say. It's not what
So
I
you're
would
not
say.
capable of doing that. I guarantee you if a
I'm
Democrat...
capable of doing
no,
whatever I want to do.
If a Democrat did that, you would be attacking them
It's not what
to
I
the
would
bank.
say. It's not what I would say.
Okay, so here's my
That's not what
question.
I would say.
Okay, I would hope not. I don't think you would. I know you
No.
wouldn't. But here's my second
I
question.
won't be in that position.
Instead of responding by saying it's not the way I would handle it, it's not the way I would say, why can't you just speak these words in the microphone and say he was wrong? Why can't Republicans do that?
It's not what I would say.
So you can't say he was
That's
wrong.
not what I would say. It's not what I would say. No,
You have
why
no
do I-
fortitude to
I
be
have
able
no
to...
I have no expectations of him being right or wrong. All I care is what he does
But that
politically.
being said,
I have no expectations
the
of
issue
what he
is
does right and wrong.
you can't prove this either way. It's 20 years ago. There wasn't social media and digital cameras.
That's not the point.
So we're bringing this up.
That's
E.G.
not
and
the
Carol
point.
bringing this up.
I never said he was
But,
guilty.
but theoretically, anybody could bring up anything about anybody else, and
That's
as long
not
as
the
social
point.
media pushes it, which people, and if you have detractors, that will happen.
But what does that have to do with him
Then
saying she's not my type?
Obviously, he didn't handle it right. Clearly,
Of course he
clearly he didn't handle it right.
Why can't
But-
Ron say
but
that?
look at the position that he's
That's
in.
not what I would say.
I mean, how does he respond? You can't prove it either way. There's no evidence either way.
didn't say you
So
could.
why is it even an issue? That's my question. It doesn't make any sense.
It's an issue because
that's
the
not
left,
what my
the left
issue
wants
is.
To, the
Well, I
left
know-
wants to make
we
issues.
know why it's an issue, Ron.
Here's-
We
All right,
know
let
why
me
it's an
open
issue.
up. Hold on. Let me
You
open.
cannot-
Hold on.
this is-
But this is
cannot check-
20.
Let me
this is
open up the
20,
phone
25
lines.
years ago.
Okay, let me open up. We got some people on
No,
hold.
let me say this real quick. You cannot win on his policies because he's getting good things done, so you have to go after what he
One
says.
of the
Got
biggest,
that. I
one
got
of
that
the, one of
100%.
the
I gotta
biggest
open up the
weeks
phone
in the
lines.
stock market in the last 30 years was last week.
Yeah.
We got some people on hold. I got to open up the phone lines. And the number to call, by the way, is 257-5396 if you want to be a part of the
And
conversation.
Bitcoin is 12K.
702-257-5396. All right, I'll give out the number one more time. I'll wait till they're. You guys, go ahead, keep going. Go
No,
ahead.
you give it out.
All right.
I'll give out the number.
Please do.
702-257-5396.
That's the first time you've ever given out the number on the show. I'm proud. Yes, Ken, our producer's giving you a
know
round
what?
of applause.
It felt really
Thank
good.
you.
I
All
might
right.
do it again.
Let's go to Brady.
In 6 months.
Brady, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, Brady.
Yeah, how you doing, guys? I wanted to bring up the point. That lady that just had that's accusing Trump of raping him or him raping her 25 years ago. She's an anti-man, lesbian basher. She hates men. She blames.
Hold on a
everything
second.
in the
Stop right
world
there.
on men.
Stop. Hold on. Hold on. I'll handle this. I'll handle this.
So what's
What
the
is
title
her,
of her book?
What
What's
is
the
her,
title of her
He
book?
said
Can I
basher.
just respond?
He said basher.
What does her sexual orientation have to do with anything? What is
She hates men. She said all the problems in this
So
world
let me
are
get
from
this
men.
right. So let me get this right. According to Brady, if a woman hates men and resents men, it's impossible that she could have been sexually assaulted. Is that what you're saying, Brady? Because you make absolutely no sense by saying that. You
Okay,
lose
I'm
all
gonna tell you what
credibility.
makes sense. She's the same type of person.
I
as
just asked you a
Dr.
question.
Bradley
Answer
Ford.
the question.
The
Answer.
same
Why
type
don't you
of
answer the
leftist
question?
scum.
Are you capable of answering a question? If
More leftist
okay,
scum
why
that
don't
you
you be
guys
quiet?
all have.
Why don't you be quiet and answer the question? Okay, like a normal human being. Are you saying when a woman has a dislike for men, or maybe even is a lesbian, it is impossible for her to be sexually assaulted by a man? It is a yes or no question, Brady. Answer the question.
No, Donald Trump didn't touch that.
That's
ugly
not. That's
lesbian.
not okay. Goodbye. See you later. I think we just.
What's the
I think
title
we
of
just
her book?
learned. I think we just learned what type of person
all right,
Brady is.
all right.
What a
is the title of her book?
disgrace.
No,
Do
no,
you
that
remember
being
the title?
What a disgrace.
That being said,
Do you laugh at that? You think
No,
that's funny what this guy just said?
You laughed at it. We all have. What's the title of her book?
I don't think that's funny at all.
Just answer the question. What's the title of her book?
I have no idea. I don't care what the title of her book is. Who cares?
You should care
Who
what the title
cares
of her
what the
book
title of her book is?
Right. It has nothing,
I care more about the way the president responds to an allegation of rape. That's what I care about. You care about her book just like that idiot who just called in who wants to comment about she was a lesbian? I don't care.
I care about whether he did it or not. How about that for an answer?
I care about the way he responds to it.
I care about whether he did it or not.
We're never going to know whether he did it or not. What I care about is the way he responds. And he responded.
What's the title of her book?
Well, we got to take a break. He responded like a complete imbecile, and you are incapable of responding like that.
No,
but that's
and
fine.
I'm asking because
we're going to take a break because we got to go to break. We got to go to break. Coming up next, we'll be joined by.
I don't remember. But
coming up next, we'll be joined by Chris Moneymaker from the World Series of Poker, winning it in 2003. We'll be joined by him next, and we'll calm down here in the studio. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to the Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDWN.